All right. Hey, Diane, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I am good. I am good. Thank you so much for being willing to join me today. For those of you who are maybe catching one of these conversations for the first time, I am joined today by Diane Miertschin, who is graciously accepted the invitation to be in the hot seat for today's conversation. This is part of a series of conversations that we're having in lieu of the normal mid-service stewardship announcement. This year, as part of our stewardship campaign, instead, we're doing these conversations and hearing stories from our fellow St. Richard's parishioners as part of our God Gives the Growth campaign for 2021. Um, Now, part of the excitement of these is they are kind of recorded live, and I've got three dogs in my house. Diane, I don't know what may happen in your house, but there could be any number of exciting things that go on during our call. But anyway, so Diane, let's begin by, if you wouldn't mind, introducing yourself and saying a little bit about your involvement at St. Richard's, how long you've been a member, that kind of thing.
My name is Diane Miertschin. I've been at St. Richard's for 30 years. My husband and I joined this church right before our son was born. I come from a strong Catholic background. He has a strong Lutheran background. We definitely needed to felt being one church would unify our faith and help raise our children in a straightforward path. So we wanted to make that happen, and we did right. We were confirmed or accepted, a month before he was born. We've been there ever since. Our two children, Chris and Katie, were raised in this church at St. Richard's. They still come back for the big holiday celebrations that we have. And my involvement started, way back when we first joined. I joined the Altar Guild. I've been on there for 30 years. I love that ministry. And then when Chris got to be 5, of course, I started teaching Sunday school. Not that I in
Sure.
any way knew how to be a Sunday school teacher, but 5-year-olds don't know that. So it worked
That's
out
right.
well.
That's right.
And I did that for 20 years.
Wow. Wow. That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, and you also, you were on the search committee as well. You were one of the I don't know if it was the cursed or blessed few that got to come to Birmingham and had to talk to me. So it's good to be with you
That was
today.
a wonderful trip. We got that in right before COVID hit, and it was a great experience. Very happy about that. So
Yeah, it was literally right before COVID hit because I think it was like maybe the next week or something like that that
we were
stuff
shut
started to
down.
go on lockdown. Yeah, so that was right there. Well, anyway, it is really good to talk to you and to hear about your experience at St. Richard's. So you've been around a little bit, as you said. You've been a member about 30 years, and in that time, I would imagine you've had a number of experiences and stories. But tell us about one time, or maybe another one. I don't know, one or two times, where you have experienced the presence of God through the life of Saint Richard's, and maybe share how that experience impacted you, or changed you, or inspired you.
So it's going to probably, the one thing that sticks with me is my Sunday school experience. As
Hmm.
I said, I started, coming from the corporate world, when you sit down in front of all kinds of managers and team members, and then now you're sitting in front of a group of 5-year-olds on the floor. And it's just a different experience, not one that I could say I was prepared for. But any curriculum is great. They have support, but I just didn't feel like I was making a difference.
Hmm.
I couldn't see, the value of what I was doing in those first few months. And very quickly, Melissa Gitter came to our church, and that was definitely God led. She brought in godly play,
Hmm.
and she loved the 5-year-olds. I mean, kindergarten, first grade was great, and so she partnered with me, and she was there for a significant amount of time, and it was just a wonderful experience to be able to deliver that curriculum and have her guide me in that. And
Hmm.
then when she and her family moved away, our my other teammate Katie Day and I continued the program. We went on, like I said, for 20 years. And you see reflected in those little kids, they know the colors of the church. that
Mm,
Advent's purple, Lent's purple. It's a time of waiting. They know the stories. They know God loves them, and they
mm,
know they have a home. And that is just,
mm.
very rewarding for kindergartners, to be able to reflect that back to you. So.
Mm. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean, seeing that, I always talk about those kind of light bulb moments in people's lives where sort of something about their faith clicks for the first time. And, whether it's like understanding something that maybe confused them before, or maybe it's connecting just something as simple as the fact that God really does love you, right? And it just sort of hits you for the first time, and you can see it in people's eyes and in their faces. And I can imagine as you're talking about those 5-year-olds, like seeing that kind of wonder and awe as those things kind of connect for them. And what a powerful thing too. I mean, the church really should be a place where you feel at home and where you experience God's love. So that's lovely. That's wonderful. Um, so, what might you say to somebody who is new to St. Richard's, or who might be looking for a church home of their own? It seems like you and your husband came from two different backgrounds, denominationally speaking, and then ended up meeting in the middle, sort of, in the Episcopal Church. I know a lot of folks who, one spouse was Roman Catholic and one of them was Methodist or whatever, and then the Episcopal Church being the meeting point in between. So what might you say to someone who may be in your shoes now, looking for a church home? What might you say to them?
St. Richard definitely should be able to meet the needs of anybody looking for a parish or a home. You can control your level of involvement to being on ministries that are behind the scenes and very quiet. The Altar Guild is one of those that I like very much about that. You get a lot of private time in the church.
Mm,
But then you can also be front and center stage, and you can, your level of involvement is your control. There's always been open arms, and there's always some way to connect that will meet your comfort level.
mm, mm. Yeah, that does seem to me to be one of the strengths of St. Richard's, is that it's a large enough church to have a number of different ways to connect and be involved, but it's still small enough where you can actually know people and where you're not anonymous. You're not just one more nameless person in a stadium of seats, but actually, you're we know you. It's a community, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, wonderful, wonderful. Okay, well, the 5-year-olds was very moving and lovely and wonderful. And I think it's wonderful that you talked about how you can find your point of connection at St. Richard's. But now is this comes to the final question, which has been the hardest hitting of all of them in each of these conversations. So here's a question for you. Favorite movie of all time?
Well, I will have to say, I will have to say Greece.
Oh, okay.
Greece
All
hit me
right.
at an age where I was, it was a wonderful time in my life, and I love that musical aspect of it. And it's just a funny movie when you go back and watch it now.
Sure. Very good. Very good. Yeah, so far I've thrown out some questions about tacos and barbecue and all sorts of stuff, but it's been fun to see the different responses. But Greece is good. Greece is a good one. That's good.
Grease, Sound of Music. I like the musicals.
Oh yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, what would be your favorite musical then that you've maybe seen performed live as opposed to in movie form?
Well, I haven't seen very many live movies. My first one actually was in London. I got to go with my son's senior class, and for English, they had to go see a play there, and just being in the London theater was
Mm.
awesome.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. Well, I mean, that's a pretty cool experience. Not everyone can say they've done that for sure. So.
Yeah.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, Diane, thank you so much for sharing part of your St. Richard story with me today. And thank you for being willing to participate in this conversation series. For those of you who are watching, again, this is part of our stewardship campaign for 2021 called God Gives the Growth. If you are interested in learning more about it and more about our not just our financial goals for next year, but also just all of our ministry goals, please go online to our website at strichards.org/give. That's strichards.org/give, where you can find probably more information than you are looking for about all of those things as we celebrate all of the ways that God has been at work in the life of our parish, is at work in the life of our parish, and certainly will be in the years to come. So Diane, again, thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Sure.